Welcome back. All right, so we have a nice pattern going on these boards, and then the last game of the night between Buffalo and San Jose ruins it. So you're ruiners, San Jose and Buffalo. You ruined the pattern. You can see the pattern on the first board, which I thought was weird. There's a pattern on the second board. I was like, this is bizarre because I had 3 games on each board. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll talk about the pattern. First off, Toronto at home against Vegas. And yes, this is definitely not your usual lineup for the Vegas Golden Knights. Now we don't have Karlsson either. This is a very toothless attack. The effort is still there. The work ethic is still strong. There isn't the talent. So this is as close to as Vegas gets to looking like an expansion team, since they were an expansion team 2017-2018. It was Leonard versus Campbell. The early chances were for the Leafs. Matthews fires one wide. No shots for Vegas 6 minutes into this game. Yeah, it was going to be a long night. Leonard was sharp as the Leafs pressed. The shots were 6-0 in their favor 9 minutes into the period. The first Vegas shot came around 9.5 minutes into the period. Wasn't a really strong shot either. Nylander had a rush. Howden defends on that, but then it's Marner who scores in back-to-back games from Tavares and Kerfoot at 11:31. So Marner is getting it together. We know he's going to. I know there's still a lot of complaints about it. A lot of it dates back to the playoffs, but Marner's a very good regular season player. His numbers have been very good since he started in the NHL. He's going to bounce back. Vegas tries to answer. The Leafs then get a 4-minute power play, or so they thought when they came back from the commercial break. They found out that Bunting had actually sticked and cut himself. So no power play. Theodore then had a drive that was saved, and Dodonov had a wraparound that wouldn't go. So we go to the second period. Early power play for the Leafs. Martinez stopped a Riley goal. That was going in. Riley didn't look very happy about it either. Tavares was stopped in close, but there's a power play marker from Matthews, Nylander, and Marner with the assists at 2:59. So Marner with the goal and an assist, Nylander on the board with an assist, and Matthews with a goal. It feels like Matthews ready to start heating up again. Vegas nearly answers. Tavares then had a chance that was stopped. Vegas presses at the half. Bunting couldn't bury one. But again, Michael Bunting's off to a very good start as a Toronto Maple Leaf. Power play for Vegas, which is 0 for 15 coming into today's game. It would be 0 for after this game too. Vegas couldn't even set it up. It was killed off. Vegas didn't even set up on that power play. No shots. They get another power play that led to a shorthanded chance for Kerfoot. And this power play is in the same realm as Ottawa's a couple seasons ago. Like, it's just bad. And again, you don't have Stone, you don't have Pacioretty, you don't have Karlsson. It is completely understandable. But it's remarkable to see. In the last minute, the Leafs press, and eventually they get that goal. It's Matthews from Riley and Marner at 19:16. So Marner with a 3-point night, and Matthews with a couple of goals. So it's 3-0 Toronto after 2. I will say this too. The Hall & Oates song, You Make My Dreams, it's not... You know what? I hated it when they first used it. Now it's kind of... it's all right. It's okay. It's fine. There are goal songs I don't like in the NHL. That one, not really in the bottom... I'll say bottom 10. Not even in the bottom 10. Nylander and Bunting had shots saved early in the third period. Vegas was 1-3, trailing after 2. Toronto was 2-0 when leading after 2 coming into today. And it's Nylander scoring from Bunting and Brody at 2:43. So for Bunting, that gets him on the board. And yeah, I mean, Nylander with a goal and an assist. All the big names that you want to get goals basically get on the board, except Tavares gets the assist instead of the goal, but he had a goal in the last game, right? He had 2 goals in the last game, right? So yeah, it's all going their way. Raw had a shot. Campbell makes the save. Haig was robbed as Vegas really did try. And they did press in the final minute trying to break that shutout. It wasn't going to happen. Jack Campbell gets the shutout. Toronto wins this one 4-0. They go to 5-4-1. They're above 500. For Vegas, they dropped to 4-5 on the season. The shots, 13-4 Toronto in the first, 12-10 Toronto in the second, 12-8 Vegas in the third. Final shots, 33-26 for Toronto. Power plays, Vegas 0 for 3, Toronto 1 for 1. The hits were 28-21 for Vegas. Leonard saves 29 out of 33, and Campbell saves all 26 shots for the shutout. So, a shutout in the books. Next up, Montreal at home against Detroit. Now, of course, Detroit without Larkin. Detroit without Bertuzzi. And without Larkin and Bertuzzi, a team that's already kind of short on that top-end skill, you're left with Raymond, who's a rookie. You can kind of key on him now if you're Montreal. So it was Nedeljkovic versus Allen. Gallagher was back, and this might have been Gallagher's best game of the season, right? Early chances for the Habs. Suzuki was denied once, but he wasn't denied the second time. He scores his first goal of the season from Toffoli and Petrie at 2:06. And looking at these early games, all that I kept thinking was, you know, there's a lot of comments, and I've seen them from people just burying players who are, 8, 9, 10 games into their season. I find it weird that immediately people will be like, oh, that player's terrible because the first 10 games of the season, when there's still 70 games left. Lehkonen was dumped then, and there was no call on that. There was a near miss then for Hoffman, who came into tonight with 399 points. Spoiler alert, he left tonight with 399 points. Puck to the head on Drouin. He rushed off. He did come back into the game, though. Anderson would score from Suzuki and Gallagher at 9:18. That was a 2-on-1 rush goal, and Josh Anderson's been very good. Even if the puck hasn't been going in as much as he'd like, there's a goal there. The Habs pressed with 8 minutes left. Allen was sharp in the final minute. There was a post for Gallagher on the rush, and things get kind of pushy at the horn. So it's 2-0 Montreal after one. Second period. Early press by the Wings. Dvorak had a chance then that was stopped. Anderson had one that deflects out. The Wings get a power play. It is unsuccessful. They get another power play, also unsuccessful. So they had 2 power plays in the game. They are back to back. Near goal for Gallagher. He got hurt on the play, but he did come back to start the third period. So there was some concern that Gallagher had gotten hurt, maybe be out for a while, and they weren't saying anything during the intermission, but he was back to start the third period. In the third period, Fabry couldn't get one. He was in alone, could not score. Allen didn't allow it to happen. Gagner had a chance, stick save there. And you have to respect the flow of both Pezzetta, who is playing his first game, and Niku. And when they're on the ice together, it's kind of fantastic to watch, isn't it? So, just throwing that out there. The shots were 2-1 for the Wings at 6 minutes. Armia had a chance that was stopped. The Habs get a power play. Evans couldn't bury one. Anderson has a shot as well that didn't go in. And then, Suter risks one wide the other way after it was done. The goalie is pulled with 4 minutes left because you need 2 goals and you got to pull them early. The Habs, their fans were singing tonight. And that ole, 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 I'm glad to hear it, right? Because it's been a long start to the season. The empty net goal was added by Gallagher. So he gets the goal to go with the assist to Foley, and Suzuki with the assist to Foley with a couple of helpers. Suzuki with a goal and an assist. That's at 17:59. They did pull the goalie again, but your final score is 3-0. Montreal goes to 3-8. Detroit drops to 4-4-2. They will be very glad not to come back to Montreal for a while. The shots in this one were 16-12 Montreal in the first, 12-7 Montreal in the second, 13-3 Montreal in the third. Final shots 41-22 for Montreal. Power plays, Detroit 0-2, Montreal 0-1. The hits were 28-21 for Detroit. That's right, the hits were exactly the same as in that game, and the score was almost the same. Nedeljkovic saves 38 out of 40. He was excellent. Allen saves all 22 shots for not that hard of a shutout for him. By shutout standards, this one wasn't that bad. But again, Nedeljkovic played really well in defeat. And hopefully the next time he has a game like that, they're able to muster the goals to back him up. All right, next up. Arizona. This is... I mean, it's been sad for a while, but it just seems to get sadder, doesn't it? Arizona works so hard. The work ethic is there every single game. There's absolutely no finish on this team. The good news is, if you're a Flyers fan, Carter Hart's numbers coming out of this game for the season are excellent. Carter Hart, since that first game where he was kind of rough looking and it didn't look like maybe he was going to have another poor season, since then it has been lights out. He's been excellent. Big bounce back season for him thus far. There was an early Coyotes 3-on-2 that fizzled, which was a sign of things to come. There was a press by the Flyers at 4.5 minutes. Eriksson cleared out a chance for Brassard. Yashkin was then denied by Hart. There were highlight reel saves by both goaltenders early in this, as Vejmelka continues his incredible run without a single win. I feel bad for the kid. The Flyers gained momentum near the halfway mark, but then Kessel with a steal. His shot was saved. Pressed by the Coyotes with 8 minutes left. Ladd to Eriksson. Didn't go, But the Flyers end up with a power play, and it's one of those ones where the Coyotes take a penalty in the other end of the rink. You don't want to be doing that. The Coyotes did kill it off. There was a press by the Coyotes. There was a post for Hayden in the closing seconds, but it's scoreless after 1. Second period. The Flyers had a short press at the 2-minute mark. The Coyotes really weren't giving them a lot of room to work with out there at that point in the game. Chychrun had a drive that was saved. His frustrations continue. Hart denies Soderstrom. The shots were 5-2 in favor of the Coyotes at 6 minutes. Again, they're working hard. They're getting shots. They're getting opportunities. It won't go in the net, right? Strong road game for the Coyotes. Keller with a rush. Hart deflects it high and out. The Flyers, it looked like they scored, but on review it showed that the goalie had it. And that was one where the goalie has his hand on the puck, and then they knock it out, and you can't do that. You can't. So if they look at the replay and they see the goalie had his glove over the puck, doesn't matter if it comes loose and goes in the net. They don't allow that. That's not allowable. Somebody actually messaged the Facebook page, and so I'm just explaining that they have to whistle that down. They whistled it down in a game previous to. I'm trying to remember which one it was. But there was one game where the goalie had it. They allowed the goal in that play until they looked at the replay and they said, okay, no, we can't because the goalie actually had his glove on the puck. So yeah, that kept the Flyers off the board and kept the score at 0-0. There was a late power play for the Flyers, and Ristolainen could not bury one. So we go to the third period tied at 0, which is a familiar picture for Arizona this year, right? Solid passing and work ethic by the Coyotes. Fisher had a shot that was stopped. Vejmelka then gloved a JVR shot. The Flyers press at 4.5 minutes, but honestly, the Arizona defense was keeping them to the outside pretty well, not giving them great opportunities. But then Couturier from Konechny and Giroux happens at 6:54, and it's a dynamite play, and Vejmelka had absolutely no chance on that one. None. It was a fantastic goal by Couturier and a great pass by Konechny. The Coyotes then tried to answer. The Flyers get a power play. Nothing happening there. Vejmelka rushed back to save an empty net goal, so he's leaving the net. Sees that they're going to score into the empty net, and he rushes back in to make the save. But he didn't really have time to get set, and Lawton buries one past him from Van Riemsdyk and Braun at 17:51. It was just after, again, he didn't really get a chance to get set. He was trying to get out, probably a little bit distracted. It's 2-0. And then they did pull the goalie. There's an empty net goal there. Giroux from Couturier and Sanheim at 18:25. So 3-0 with an empty netter, 3-0 with an empty netter, 4-0 here. There's definitely oddity with this board, right? And I thought, are they all going to be shutouts tonight? The shots were 13 apiece in the first, 10-9 Philadelphia in the second, 11-7 Philadelphia in the third. Final shots 34-29 for Philadelphia. Power plays, Arizona didn't have any. Philadelphia had 3, didn't score on any of them. The hits 25-23 for Arizona. Vejmelka saves 31 out of 33. Again, he's playing very, very well. Can't get a win. Carter Hart saves all 29 shots. So all 3 home teams get shutouts on the first board. Let's go to the second, and the weirdness continues. Okay, so overtime, shootout, overtime. Yeah, it's weird. This makes the whole, like, this is almost like a Twilight Zone of the reviews. Because I didn't plan it. It's not like I said, okay, these ones are going to be shutouts, these ones are going to go to extra time, and then the late games on the last board are just going to be a cornucopia of weirdness. So we go to Ottawa and Minnesota, which was the most bizarre Wild game of the night, which makes sense because it's the Wild. But remember when Minnesota games were really boring? This one wasn't. Really, really wasn't. I think coming out of this one, I think Minnesota, I think Dean Evason's going to want games to be a little more boring than this. It was Gustafsson versus Talbot. The Wild had the early chances. Fiala in alone is denied, but then Foligno scores from Spurgeon and Eriksson Ek at 4:57. Seconds later, Kalen Addison with his first NHL goal from Kaprizov at 4:24. I did a video on the slow starters this year. Somebody mentioned Kaprizov not having a goal. I don't see him necessarily as having a slow start. He had 6 assists coming into tonight. He's getting opportunities, and he's getting points. So is he living up to his contract so far? Probably not. However, he is getting opportunities. They're going to start going in. They did start going in tonight. And that was a fluky goal for Addison. They all count. So the Sens call a timeout. The shots were 7-0 for the Wild 5.5 minutes into this game. So yeah, the Sens needed to call that timeout. Duhaime and Tkachuk were unfriendly, and then immediately after, on the next face-off, Duhaime has a fight with Watson. So Austin Watson, in his I believe this is a season debut, right, for the Sens tonight, he wanted to, you know, hey guys, I'm here, and wanted to announce himself. The Sens have been better since the timeout, and Nick Paul scores from Connor Brown and Formenton at 10:48. Good rush chance goal. However, less than 3 minutes later, as this was a Wild game, the Wild score, Sturm from Kulikov and Fiala at 13:35. Nico Sturm's heating up too. The Wild then get a power play. We then get 13 seconds of 5-on-3. But the Senators killed it all off, which was unexpected. I thought this game's going to get really bad. This would be 5-1. So second period, the Sens scored. It was challenged for a high stick. Dean Evison didn't look happy when they said, nah, it's a good one. And the replay showed that it was not a high stick. So Batherson from Tkachuk and Del Zotto at 2:12. And because it counts, not only does it make it 3-2, but now the Senators have a power play. Remember when the Senators' power play wasn't any good? That's before this year. And they score on it. It's Norris from Batherson and Stützle at 3:23. So suddenly it's a tie game. And then the Sens get another power play. Well, you could feel the tension in the crowd of what's going on here. Norris nearly gets his second, which would have been a second power play marker within minutes. The Wild survived thanks to a crossbar and 5 shots that were saved. So it was a pretty crazy power play. The Sens scored after, but it was waved off because it was elbowed in. So this is the second Senators goal. The first one was challenged for high stick. This time that's elbowed in. The funny thing is they showed it on the replay, and I thought, well, it went off of here. How can he say he elbowed it in when it didn't touch his elbow? He didn't elbow it in. And you can't say that he's trying to play it off his body, I think, down to his stick, and he just played it off his body and it goes in the net. And I thought, you know, if we're going to count goals off the outside of a skate, you can't take that back. And they didn't. Turns out it counts. Tierney from Ennis and Del Zotto at 7:48. The Wild then get a power play, and they score on it because everybody scored on everything tonight. Foligno scores from Dumba and Brodin at 10:10. So it's 4-4. It's halfway through the game, and I'm thinking, I'm going to need the tiny board. I didn't end up needing the tiny board because I really cut back on my notes. But I definitely could have ended up needing the tiny board if the scoring had stayed at this pace. It was ridiculous. Fiala couldn't bury one as the Wild went for the lead. The Senators get a late power play. It becomes a 4-on-4. Everything gets killed off. No shots for the Wild's short power play they had there. We go to the third period. Stützle collided with the ref. Wasn't happy. Looks back at the referee a couple of times. Wasn't happy about that. The Wild then had a 4-on-2. Foligno's denied. Things get kind of scrappy because every time Foligno goes to the net, that's going to happen. Goudreau was then robbed. Senators get a power play. That was unsuccessful. There was a press by the Wild with 8 minutes left. Gustafsson making absolutely huge saves as Minnesota, all the pressure was in the Ottawa end, it felt like, for most of that third period. Chabot then had a shot that was saved, and Stützle really wanted one late there. But we go to overtime. The Wild controlled. They got a chance. Chabot ended up on the ice for about a minute and a half. I felt like Minnesota let him get off the ice because they wanted a shot at his replacement. And sure enough, Kaprizov scores from Fiala at 2:02. I'm pretty sure Chabot was off the ice at this point. And Kaprizov with his first of the year. And what timing? An overtime goal. 5-4 win. They go to 6-3. It hasn't been a pretty season for the Wild. It really hasn't. However, they're 6-3. And for Ottawa, they dropped to 3-5-1. Their struggles on the road are becoming a thing again. But it was nice to see them come back in this one too. Final shots. Or the shots in this game were 13-7 Minnesota in the first, 12-10 Ottawa in the second, 19-9 Minnesota in the third, and in the overtime Minnesota gets the one shot. That's the one that counts. Final shots 43-30 or 43-28 for Minnesota. Power plays, both teams went 1 for 4. Hits were 28-16 for Ottawa. Gustafsson saves 38 out of 43. I can't really blame him. The defense wasn't great tonight. Talbot saves 24 out of 28. It just felt like every really good chance was going to go in tonight. And yeah, this was the crazy one. This was the one that had more goals, I think, than more goals than any of the other games tonight. I don't even know that that's close. All right, that craziness aside, let us discuss Dallas and Winnipeg. And I'll tell you about a chuckle I got when we get to the shootout. I got a pretty good chuckle out of this. First period, Holtby versus Comrie. is your goaltending matchup. Comrie, of course, in net because Hellebuck's wife just gave birth, so kudos and congratulations to him and to her. She did the work. Early press by the Jets. Shots are 5-2 in favor of Winnipeg at 9 minutes. They had a very good start to this game, and they're rewarded with a goal. Stastny, it went off of his glove. It looked like it went off of his face, but it went off his glove, I believe, and into the net. From Beaulieu and Ehlers at 10:29. The Stars, it's another slow start for Dallas, right? Jets press with 5.5 minutes left. However, Jamie Benn would score from Tyler Seguin at 16:16, a goal that Dallas fans would be excited about because both of those players need to get going. Wheeler then had a chance, but Lindell blocked the pass as he was coming in 2-on-1. Pavelski then had a shot that was saved. With 25.7 seconds left, the Jets go on to the power play. So that rolls over to the second period, and the Jets score on it in the second period. It's Morrissey from Schmidt and Wheeler at 32 seconds. And 6 minutes into this period, the shots are 4-1 for the Jets. So again, really good start for the Jets. They're up 2-1, and things look good for them, right? Stars had a 2-on-1. Radulov's denied. The Stars scored, but it's offside. So as soon as they challenge for offside, I go, all right, because there's guys being paid right now in the NHL to watch. No one plays offside, and then just wait. If there's a goal in this, it's offside. So they just call down immediately. Jets get a power play, and they score on it. It's Dubois from Scheifele and Schmidt at 7:23. It was reviewed to see if it was kicked in, but it counts. Jets press at 9 minutes. Scheifele took a stick to the face. That was a power play, and the Stars killed one. They killed it. They did it. After 2 for 2 on the power play in the second period, the Stars killed one, and I was like, yes! Two shots for Winnipeg. Wheeler to Morrissey was then defended, and in the last minute, the Stars press. But we go to the third period. It is 3-1 in favor of Winnipeg. Winnipeg should, at home, kill this off. Third period, the Jets were ahead in shots 2-1 at 4 minutes. And I felt like, okay, so the Jets are playing in conservative style. The Stars aren't getting a lot of shots. We'll see how this turns out. Hintz had a shot that was saved. The Stars did press. The Jets pressed back at the 6-minute mark. Pavelski line getting some looks. And I think this was Joe Pavelski's best game of the season. He ends up with just the 1 point on the night, I believe, because the Stars get a power play and he gets an assist on a goal by Robertson, which may have been changed since then, to be honest, because it looked like it might have been Radulov's. But Robertson from Radulov and Pavelski at 9:37, and the ugly ones still count as goals, just in case. So if that was Robertson that punched it in over the goal line, ugly ones are still goals. And then Klingberg from Caro at 13:16. Great shift by Dallas. They tie up the game, and it makes the crowd a little bit tense, right? The Jets press in the final 5 minutes. The Stars would clear after some crazy opportunities the Jets had there. Power play for the Stars with 4:27 left. It becomes a 4-on-4. Everything gets killed off. We go to overtime. In overtime, the Jets 0-2 in overtime, and so they're looking not to lose in overtime. They didn't. Spoiler alert. They controlled off the faceoff. Dubois fires one wide. Pionk had a shot that was saved. Morrissey ends up hitting the post. I have no idea how that one doesn't go in. It's one of those ones where Holtby just kind of a little bit of luck there for Holtby. It doesn't go in. Wheeler had a deflection that was saved. Dubois robbed twice. And then Hintz fanned on an opportunity. So Winnipeg was really all over it. But we go to a shootout. And at the start of this, the TSN announcers say, and the Stars will try to win one in a shootout. And I admit I chuckled because their shootout record last year was not great. And tonight, they lose in the shootout. It's Mark Scheifele with the winner. So the Jets survive a scare here. They win 4-3 in a shootout. The Stars drop to 3-4-2. The Jets go to 5-2-2. And even though there's some ugly games here and some odd wins here and some losses that should have been wins, their record is still very solid. So Winnipeg has a solid record, and you can feel like things are going to start rolling, and yet they've already got that good record before things start rolling. So watch for the Jets. The shots were 8-7 Dallas in the first, 17-8 Winnipeg in the second, 10-7 Dallas in the third. In the overtime, Winnipeg outshot them 4-1. The final shots 35-27 for Winnipeg. Power plays, Dallas goes 1 for 2. Winnipeg ends up 2 for 4. The hits were 23-21 for Dallas. Holtby saves 32 out of 35. Another good start for Braden Holtby. Comrie, 24 saves on 27 shots. Holtby's play has been good enough that it does make me wonder if Ben Bishop comes back, what the plan's going to be for Dallas, because Bishop has played well enough or Holtby's played well enough to be there when Bishop comes back, but they're not going to get rid of Hudobin, right? So, I do wonder about that with Dallas, but I get the feeling that Bishop may not play this year. I don't know, it's just a hunch. When they picked up Holtby, that told me, all right, so they want to give Ottinger another year in the minors, and Holtby's there, for this year, and we'll see how it turns out. But there you go. Next up, Nashville. Nashville's a good example tonight of a game where really, Calgary probably should have won this. They started off really well again, but Nashville, this is what happens. We look at Nashville at the start of the year and we go, well, they probably aren't going to make the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're going to fall out. This is it. They're done. And then they have a slow start to the season. We all kind of go, well, see, that's just how it's going to work. I don't know. So it was Saros versus Markstrom. Early chances for the Flames. In fact, the shots were 4-0 in their favor 4 minutes in. Gaudreau misses one wide. Tkachuk had a rush chance that was saved. But then it's Cunnin that opens the scoring from Carrier and Johansson at 10-11. But the Flames get a power play shortly thereafter, and they score on it. It's a power play goal for Tkachuk from Monahan and Lindholm. I wrote that down wrong. At 11:49, because I'm like, Lindholm and Gaudreau for what? And it's Monahan and Lindholm. So it was Tkachuk's goal. Anyways, there you go. So that ties it up. The Flames then pressed with 5 minutes left. Saros was under siege. This, I can't say enough. Calgary had so many really good opportunities, and Saros was an absolute wall keeping this tied. And then Forsberg, after a neutral zone turnover, he scores from Duchesne and Granlund at 18:37. Calgary had a great period, but they allowed some opportunities to Nashville. Nashville was very opportunistic with those opportunities, and Saros was a wall. So Calgary's down 2-1, even though they had a fantastic first period. Second period, early chance by the Preds, that's saved. Fabro couldn't bury one. The Flames get a power play. Tkachuk fans on one. The Preds killed it off. Just the 2 shots for Calgary on that. The Predators then get a power play. That's not going to work. Predators power play, no. Gaudreau then had a net drive that wouldn't go. Shillington had a shot that was stopped. Shots are 4-3 in favor of the Flames at 12 minutes. And the game, it felt like at this point, had become more of a Predators game, more of a road game. Cutting down opportunities, not so much of the pond hockey back and forth, both teams getting great opportunities. More of a chess match, which I thought favored Nashville at that point. Tomasino then had a chance that was saved by Markstrom. Late power play for the Flames. Near miss for Lindholm, but it's all killed off. So we go to the third period. Delay of game call. Flames get a power play. As the power play ends, Dubé hits the post. And then they score. Technically, this is 5-on-5, but it's right after the power play ended. Shillington from Tanev and Mangiapane at 3 minutes and 20 seconds. That ties the game. Right? So you get your crowd back into it. Everybody's all excited. Another Flames power play. That becomes a 4-on-4. Tkachuk to Gaudreau doesn't succeed, but Gaudreau gets the puck, gives it to Tkachuk, and Tkachuk was denied in front of the net. If Saros sees it, he saves it. He was having one of those nights. You have to get traffic in front of him. You have to go for deflections. You have to go for those greasy goals, right? The Flames with a power play with 4:31 left. That led to a shorthanded chance for Sissons. In fact, no setup for the Flames, no shots. It's all killed off, and it felt like that actually hurt the momentum. Sometimes a power play will do that. So you go to overtime. The Preds control on the faceoff. Duchesne with a net drive that goes awry. And then Backlund had a shot that was saved. Nashville brings it back the other way. And at 1:37 is Duchesne from Granlund and Ekholm. Now, Flames fans were upset. I saw 2 potential calls on that play. A player tripped and a player interfered with, which leads to a 3-on-1. So if you're a Flames fan that's very upset, honestly, as somebody that doesn't have a concern about Flames or Predators in terms of who I'd like to see win, I thought there could have been a call there. Absolutely. I was really surprised because those plays both played into what became a huge scoring opportunity. That's normally where a referee will say, okay, I have to call that. So where they'll have this slide, they'll say, we're not going to call, any kind of chintzy penalties. If it leads to a breakaway or a 3-on-1 in this case, normally you will see that called. So I was kind of surprised. But again, just saying. The final shots in this one, well, in the first period, Calgary 20-9 over Nashville. Second period, Calgary outshoots them again, but only 8-5. Third period, Calgary outshot them 11-7. Both teams had one shot in overtime. Final shots 40-22 for Calgary. Power plays 0 for 2 for Nashville. Calgary 1 for 6. The hits were 22-14 in favor of Nashville. Sorrow saves 38 out of 40. Markstrom saved 19 out of 22. And I think he was kind of distracted when that goal was shot at him. It reminded me of Luongo against the Ducks all those years ago. So many years ago now. It's 14 years ago. Where as soon as that puck goes in, he went straight to the ref. So this, I saw that and I thought, Markstrom really wasn't dialed in on that shot from Duchesne. That threw him off, that they didn't call that penalty, and Nashville buries it. So Nashville goes to 5-4 on the season. They're above 500. And for the Flames, they drop to 6-1-2. They get the point, and they still only have the one loss in regulation. So that being said, now we need to go to the third board. And we'll go with the biggest surprise of the night. Honestly, the Rangers, it looked like they were coming in and stealing 2 points from the Vancouver Canucks. And this could be a turning point for, and I mean, we've heard this before, right? We heard last year there were certain points where Vancouver would get a big win and people say, is this the turning point? This game tonight feels like it is the early season potential turning point for the Vancouver Canucks. They've had a miserable homestand. This was a miserable game for most of it. The fans were very quiet, and then they got really loud. So it was Shesterkin versus Demko, two of the heroes in hockey. Hamonic was in. You could see he was kind of rusty, too, on some of the plays in this game. It's his first game, so I was kind of surprised they put him in there. But, you know, he did the best he could here. Hedl with a break. Demko defended that. Rangers get a power play. It's unsuccessful. The shots were 6-3 for the Canucks. 9 minutes left in the period, so they're playing well. The Canucks press with 6 minutes left. Panarin had a net feed that was blocked. Canucks lines were being juggled already, which I can understand. When you haven't scored a goal in a while, especially 5-on-5, you might want to change up the lines a little bit. We get a Canucks power play. There was a shorthanded chance for Gaudreau during that. It's all killed off. Garland ends up hitting the outside of the net. It was the second time he'd hit a net or a post in that period. 32 seconds left. The Canucks get another power play. So to start the second period, they're on the power play. The Rangers finish the kill. Then they get a power play. And they score on it. Zibanejad from Panarin at 2:33. And Fox had the secondary assist on this as well. So the Rangers coming into tonight were 5-0 when they scored first. And the Canucks, when they allow the first goal, which is often, I think they were 1-4-2 on the season. Not a great record. So all of this, that took the energy out of the building, at least from what I could hear on TV. And I understand the TV, sometimes you won't hear things that accurately. But yeah, it just felt like that just took the air out of the building. That fans kind of had this, here we go again. And I'll admit, I was feeling that way too. Canucks get a power play. Pearson had a shot that was saved. That's killed off. OEL falls down. A shot goes wide after he gets back up. And it was one of those, I'm not sure what he tripped over. Might have been his shadow. No idea. Posts. Posts are Shesterkin's friend as well through those first 40 minutes. The Canucks press, go back to the power play. Hughes had a shot. But the power play was killed off. And then the Rangers get a power play. And they score on it. It's Panarin from Fox and Strome at 13-13. So Fox with this new contract that kicks in next year. A couple of assists for him. Panarin with a goal and an assist. And that was 2 seconds into the power play. 2 or 3 seconds into the power play. And it went off Pullman's stick. So Demko didn't have a chance on that. 2 power play markers for the Rangers. They're up 2-0. And I kind of feel like, okay, so are we going to get a shutout from the Rangers now? Because we had 3 shutouts on the first board, right? So, Podkolzin had a net drive that wouldn't go after the Rangers had a press in the final 2 minutes. And you could see, as this period rolls down, the Canucks are getting frustrated. And it's starting to show. And so when you see that, you start to think, okay, now don't take a frustrated penalty. The last thing you need is to take a penalty because you're frustrated and allow another power play goal before this period's out. Third period, early. And this was important. They needed to score early. JT Miller against his former teammates, well, the team he played for, I don't know how many are still there that would have played with Miller. Garland and Pettersson at 129. Somebody will throw it in the comment section. I have no idea how many. It wouldn't be very many, though. But yeah, Garland and Pettersson with the assists at 129. The Rangers did try to answer. There was some really good back-to-back or end-to-end action that followed, which made me a little nervous because you've got Zibanejad, you've got Panarin, and you've got Fox. And any combination of those three, you throw in Strome, I get concerned when you're trading chances with them because they're pretty good offensively. But Podkolzin with an absolutely fantastic goal. No chance for Shesterkin on that. He didn't even see that puck had gone to Podkolzin at that point. Garland and Myers with the assists at 519. Kudos to Myers for dumping it around the net. And for Garland seeing Podkolzin coming in. It's only his second goal, but it was his best goal. Absolutely. The Rangers did though press after. It's now a 2-2 game. It's a brand new hockey game. So the Canucks get a power play. It was 0 for 5 with 8 shots. Goal line stand on JT Miller's chance. They got 5 shots during that 6th power play. They didn't get a goal. The crowd was really into it at this point, though. The Rangers then get a power play with 5:05 left, and then guess what happens? A 5-on-3. And all I could think was, what? So the first penalty was maybe a little chintzy. The second penalty was probably better than the first penalty, but either way, you're killing a 5-on-3. So Demko loses his blocker. Referee sees it. He doesn't blow the whistle. Demko makes a save minus the blocker. Then the referee blew the whistle. I don't understand. If you can blow the whistle on him not having the blocker, why didn't you blow the whistle right away? So something's been around Canuckland since this took place. But with Demko taking his place as the demo god in Vancouver, that's all killed off. We go to overtime on a point that is largely created from Demko's play. And Shesterkin's been fantastic in the Rangers' net. Both goalies live up to their advanced billing. In the overtime, the Rangers controlled on the faceoff. They were unable to get a shot. Then Miller had a chance the other way, and JT Miller was so determined. This might have been his best game as a Canuck over the last couple of seasons. He gets the empty netter, kind of, in that he gets the shot, it's in Shesterkin's feet, and then he goes around the net and he ends up putting it in. So he didn't give up on the play. Hughes with the assist at 2:22. Vancouver wins in overtime. They go to 4-5-1. New York drops to 6-2-2 with the overtime loss point. And yeah, I mean, the Rangers will be happy to come out of this with a point, I would think. Although having a 2-0 lead entering the third, they'll have wished they've got the win. But it's not like this is a team in their conference either, right? So they still get the point. Shots were 8-6 Vancouver in the first, 14-8 Vancouver in the second, 10-8 Vancouver in the third. Vancouver had 4 shots in the overtime. Final shots 36-22 in favor of Vancouver. Power plays 2 for 5 for the Rangers, 0 for 6 for Vancouver. Hits were 24 apiece. And of course, if you're a Canuck fan, you're hoping that with Garland getting a couple of helpers, he gets bumped up to a top line. Pettersson getting assists means he's getting, hit things going. And Miller with a couple of goals. There's some positives here. Shesterkin with the 33 saves on 36 shots was great. Demko 20 saves on 22 shots. I've already talked about his standing, which is pretty high with Canuck fans right now. So there you go. I don't know how many extra Demko jerseys they sold after this game tonight, but it'll be a couple. All right. Next up, New Jersey and Anaheim. So this New Jersey game ends up being a loss that could be big. So during this game, Dougie Hamilton left. And I didn't hear what happened that caused him not to be in the game. He had the most ice time of anybody in the first period, but he didn't play in the second and third. Bernier versus Gibson was the matchup. He sure had a chance in the first minute. The Ducks end up hitting a post shortly thereafter. And the shots are 2-2 at 7 minutes. So both teams kind of feeling each other out here in a lot of, defensive play. Mercer nearly buries one. The Devils get a power play. Then we get 9 seconds of 4-on-4 before the Ducks get a power play. They score on theirs. The Ducks' power play from last year is forgotten. I think they've already got more goals than last year's power play. Getzlaf from Fowler and Lettieri at 12:05. And Gibson making some really big saves in that first period. A period where New Jersey played well, but Anaheim comes out of it ahead. Second period. Devils were doubling the Ducks in shots early on. There was power play number 2 for the Ducks, and then it became a 5-on-3. And 5-on-3, teams usually should score. And I say should, not that they usually do, just they should score 5-on-3. I have 2 extra guys on the ice. And it's Troy Terry from Getzlaf and Shattenkirk at 3:48. Troy Terry has equaled the amount of goals he had all last season already. So the Devils killed the 5-on-4, but the shots are evening up as Anaheim's getting it together, right? The Ducks had a 3-on-2, the Devils shot blocking there. Good shifts for the Devils at around the halfway mark. The Devils get a power play. Zacha fires one high. The Ducks clear it out. Another Ducks power play. We then get 4-on-4 for 55 seconds. After that, all killed off. The Devils press after. There's a late Ducks power play, and this is where they start talking about, so Hamilton's not back yet. We don't know if he's coming back. They talked about it in between periods. They couldn't get clarity from the Devils on whether or not he was expected back. So I would think since there was no clarity on whether or not he was expected back, it shouldn't be anything really bad. Like we should be looking at a long-term injury. Third period. And again, no Hamilton since the first. Steele centering pass goes to the corner. Smith with a long shot that goes wide. That's Ty Smith. And then it goes the other way. And Getzlaf to Terry. Terry with the goal at 3:38. Getzlaf with a couple of helpers in tonight's game to go with his goal. He's cruising towards 1,000 points now. Zegras then got a chance for another. The Devils get a power play. Very, very close to a goal, but the Ducks kill it. Very, very close to breaking that shutout. And then it's a shorthanded goal by Lundestrom from Grant at 7:19. So, a lot of power plays in this game. A lot. And the Devils were pretty desperate after. Just weren't able to get that goal. The Ducks press at 9 minutes. There's a power play for the Ducks. That was a no. They got another late power play. That also was a no to drag down their overall power play numbers for the night. But they're still pretty good. So the Ducks win this one 4-0. And again, if you're a Devils fan, the loss is one thing, but losing Hamilton is another. Devils go to 4-3-1 on the season with the loss. The Ducks even the record. They're now 4-4-3. Again, they're fun to watch. Shots 11-7 New Jersey in the first, 10 apiece in the second, 10-7 Anaheim in the third. Final shots 28-27 for New Jersey. Power plays 0 for 5 for the Devils, 2 for 7 for Anaheim. 12 power plays in this game. Hits were 18-13 for Anaheim. Bernier saves 23 out of 27. Gibson saves 26 out of 28. He played pretty well. So yeah, this was a fun game. If you're a Ducks fan, if you're a Devils fan, a lot of reasons to come out of this game saying, I'm not happy with how this turned out. Who got hurt? Oh. So, yeah, we'll see if with Hamilton it was just a, they just held him out as a precaution or what it was. We'll find out likely tomorrow. All right, last game of the night. Buffalo and San Jose, and it ruins it, right? So we had 3 shutouts, 3 overtime games. On this board, you have an overtime game and a shutout. I'm like, are we getting an overtime game or a shutout? The answer's no. Yeah. I will say, though, because it started at 7:30, I expected a shootout in this game. I expected this game to go until about midnight, because that's what happens a lot of the time with 7:30 starts, right? So it was Anderson versus Reimer. Craig Anderson's numbers are starting to, well, they're going to start coming down because Anderson's numbers are at a level that's not really, he's not going to be able to keep that up through a whole 82-game schedule, right? The Sharks pressed at 3 minutes. They had another press shortly thereafter. The Sabres cleared it out. The shot totals were pretty low through the first half until we start seeing goals. So I think the shots were like 3-1 at 7 minutes. And then Dahlin scores from Eklund and Burns at 7:25. So Eklund doesn't have a goal yet, but he's still putting up helpers. The lead doesn't last. It's Skinner with his first of the season from Hinostroza and Haig at 8:48. So that's not bad. Crossbar then for Hayden. They were a crossbar away from getting the lead. But Merkley would score his first NHL goal from Barabanov and Hurdle at 12:49. These young kids coming in to play for the Sharks, they're pretty good. The Sharks are going to have some questions to ask themselves when everybody's healthy again. Who knew that the answer for the Sharks to play well would be, okay, first you got to have Evander Kane not in the lineup. All right, now, Carlson, yeah, you got to get him out of there. Vlasic, yeah, you can't have Vlasic out there. Meyer, get Meyer out of there. I mean, really, if I had said that before the season, people would have been like, he needs to be committed. He's done this too long. He's finally snapped. So the Sabres tried to answer. The Sharks were getting traffic in front of the net. There's a late Sabres power play. That becomes a 4-on-4. Then we had a shorthanded chance for Couture during the Sabres power play. But it's 2-1 San Jose after 1. And early in the second period, everything's all killed off. So we're back to 5-on-5. The Sabres press at 2 minutes. Doesn't go anywhere. And then Hurdle from Balsers at 6:13 makes it 3-1. Going the other way, Tage Thompson. He nearly buries one. Leonard had a shot saved. The Sharks press after that. Some back and forth action. Ferraro with a really good opportunity there. Hurdle's line to this stage in the game had been absolutely excellent. Here's the assist. Here's the goal. He's been great. And Balser's on the board. I'm always happy with that, right? Dahlin had a chance after a turnover that was forced by Logan Couture in the corner. But Kajula, against the flow of the play, he scores for Buffalo from Hinostroza and Cousins at 13-13 or 13-33. He wired it far corner. Now, depending on how you look at it, either he wired it into the far corner from a ways out, or Reimer should have had it. Depends on how you view it. I thought it was a nice goal, but I can understand if people say Reimer should have taken a different angle and he should have caught it or should have had it off of his shoulder. Balsers then with the break. Anderson makes the save on that, so no goal for Balsers there. Then a hand on the puck. I think it was Burns that did that, so the Sabres get a power play. It was unsuccessful. We go to the third period. Hurdle had a shot that was saved. Hayden couldn't bury one, so Hayden had a rough night overall. The Sabres did press. Unsuccessful. Merkley then had a chance that was saved. And then it's Ferraro from Merkley and Weatherby at 6:02. So Merkley gets a goal here. He gets an assist here. Pretty good game for him. Asplund was then in alone. Reimer poke-checked him before he got the shot away. Things get scrappy with 9:45 left. The referee pulls one guy from each team, so it's 4-on-4. Hurdle scores from Balsers and Ferraro at 11:46. So that's during the 4-on-4, and it's a nice goal. Keep in mind, Hurdle, an unrestricted free agent next summer. He's making his price go up, as the announcer said. I also like that the Sharks announcer says, "Holy shnikes." Big fan of the Tommy Boy callback. Very nice. So yeah, nice goal. And then a post for Couture. Eklund almost gets his first there, but it's not allowed. And then Skinner gets the second goal of the game, right? So don't tell me that contract's not worth anything. He gets a goal from Thompson and Asplund at 18-13. Asplund has had a very good start to the season. He's one of those players that's doing very well for Buffalo. San Jose wins this 5-3. They go to 6-3 on the season. They've won 2 games with most of their players on the shelf, either in protocols or just not there. And Buffalo 5-3-1 with the loss. It feels like some of the shine off the start of the season's wearing off for Buffalo. Their record's starting to get clawed back a bit. We'll see if that continues or if they can bounce back. The shots in this one, 9-7 San Jose in the first, 10-10 in the second, 11-8 Buffalo in the third. Final shots, 28-27 for Buffalo. Power plays, 0-2 for Buffalo, 0-1 for San Jose. Hits were 24-19 in favor of the San Jose Sharks. Craig Anderson saves 22 out of 27. That'll bring his save percentage down. Reimer saves 25 out of 28. He was good. And yeah, it was an entertaining game. San Jose wins it. And they continue to be one of the bigger surprises in the NHL. So, there you go. You're all caught up on tonight's action. Once again, I'm wearing the Hockey Fights Cancer jersey for the Canucks. They won tonight. I was concerned that, who's going to win, because I also have a Hockey Fights Cancer Rangers jersey, and the other teams I have Hockey Fights Cancer jerseys for either lost tonight, or I was like, well, I don't know, maybe I won't wear that one tonight, and I'll wear that one another night. So, anyways, there you go. I'm also going to throw in at the end here, I mentioned it in the preview, I'll mention it here as well, the West Coast Kids Foundation, which provides money for families of kids going through cancer treatments for kids as well with blood disorders. And it does go to a good cause. I always link to their website in the description around this time of year. And by always, I mean I did it last year, and I'm doing it this year, and I intend to do it next year as well. So for people that are able to, provide $5, $10, $20, it doesn't mean you don't have to donate a lot. Since it's Hockey Fights Cancer Month, consider this the Hockey Guy Fights Cancer part of it, where I promote them. They're local. I know them. So I know this is a legit charity and all that, because you've always got to ask that question on the internet. And yeah, I'll link to their website. And there you go. Anybody you can give, thank you very much. Again, even if it's only like $5. We blew them away last year with the support from this channel. I'd like to see that again. They started seeing donations from all around the world, which really blew them away, because it helped them support a lot of families that are going through a rough time of year when it's supposed to be a joyful time of year. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for all your support. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.